In order, the council meeting of Wednesday, February 18th, at our new start time of 6:30. So glad to see everyone here. Please call roll.
Ms. Swords? Here. Mr. Did I get the seats
We
backwards?
moved back.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
we moved back. I hope that
Okay.
doesn't goof you up.
No, it's fine. I just thought I did some. Mr. Schmidt?
Here.
Mr. Modi?
Here.
Ms. Godek? Here. Mr. Lemay?
Here.
Mr. Gentili? Colonel Rice?
Here.
All right. Good evening, audience. I'm glad to be here. Chiefs, department heads, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Our first agenda item is council's review of a sign variance that was granted to.
Do audience comments first, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. We do audience comments.
Yeah.
Good catch. Just not my rhythm, sir. We are now doing audience comments at the front end. So, sir.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey Stoop. I live on 3187 Kerstead. And I'd like to comment about Mr. Modi's presentation last council meeting of the process for residents input. And after I heard a lot of discussion back and forth about how could you build a process to do this, and the typical mechanism is form of committee, which makes sense. I think that there was some discussion on communication and maybe some overlaps that Ms. Swords brought up concerning, how do we connect with such a committee? And my personal opinion is that this is kind of a unique and maybe even a rare opportunity for a city in that a committee of residents could be run by residents. And I don't mean that that's ungoverned at all. I think the connection point, an executive connection point, a council member to sort of define the rules of engagement so that as ideas come forward, there's a lot of different vetting processes that we can filter through and determine which ones might be beneficial for council to consider, and then present those at a future time. So as this committee forms, I think that there's some opportunity to maybe look at this committee a little differently than you typically look at committees of getting things done, and consider maybe that it's a committee run by the residents with obviously some rules of governance over it, and with an executive connection point bringing input to the council. So those are kind of my thoughts on this idea. I think it's a great idea, and the city has a kind of a unique opportunity to do this a little differently than what might be done in a traditional sort of committee setting. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other comments? Yes.
Hershey Cohen. I live 3 houses down the street on Brainerd at 2873 Brainerd. My wife and I moved to Pepper Pike after living in our starter home in Beechwood for 46 and a half years. And I'm a contractor. I built the house. And we love our house. We love the city. We love the services, police department, fire department, service department. But the one thing that we totally hate about the city is the fact that we cannot take our little dog for a walk. I'm not walking in the street to get hit by somebody that's looking at their phone. I can't walk on the grass and run the risk of breaking an ankle in somebody's chuck hole. I'm 81 years old. I'd like to live the rest of my life in Pepper Pike, but I'd like to be able to walk down a sidewalk as opposed to having to get in my car, drive to the park, or drive to Beechwood to walk on a sidewalk there. I know that Pepper Pike is putting in sidewalks. I understand this year, the plan is to go from Cedar to, I think, Kerrsdale. And being a contractor, I know that I could do this whole city in a year, bringing in numerous crews, as long as the money was there. And I think Pepper Pike has the money to fund it, and I don't see any reason why the rest of Brainerd cannot be done this year. There's people walking in the street on the weekends, going back and forth to the synagogues that are at both ends of Brainerd. And I think for a safety, just for safety alone, it would behoove the city to get it done this year. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments. Yes, sir.
I'm Josh Mandel. I live at 2468 Brainerd. Mr. Cohn stole my thunder. I was actually gonna. I don't know Mr. Cohn that I know, but he pretty much said what I was gonna say. I guess I can give it from a little different perspective. He's 81. I'm 48. We have 5 kids and 2 dogs, and we love the city. I've lived in different cities throughout the area in my childhood and adult life, and I would say this is the best run city in which I've ever lived. As Mr. Cohn said, police department, fire department, service department, everything is outstanding. We love it, and we plan to raise our kids here and stay here until we're Mr. Cohn's age. The one thing that would be outstanding would be, as Mr. Cohn articulated, to be able to access the wonderful job you guys have done with the circle here, and the Pepper Pike Park, and the walkways on Gates Mills Boulevard from our house. And I guess the 2 cents I would give you is you guys have done a fantastic job investing in the circle here in Shaker Boulevard, investing in the Pepper Pike Park, investing in the walkways down Gates Mills Boulevard. And if you want to maximize that investment on behalf of the residents, you should enable the residents to be able to access all of this great work you've done on foot. And that's the best way to maximize the investment you've already made is by putting in the sidewalks. I would run them from Cedar down Brainerd all the way here to Shaker Boulevard, Lander, and just allow people, whether they're parents' age like myself, raising kids and everything, or it's retirees. I think it would just maximize and enhance the investment you guys have already made. And again, just want to thank you for the way you guys run the city, and I think it's impeccably run city, and we love living here and love raising our kids here. So, thank you. And I have to take a kid to the soccer practice now, so I'm sorry I can't stay for the rest of the meeting. But
Mayor, are we commenting on comments?
Comment on comment, I guess?
I guess before you run off, I want to say that, I think a lot of us on council don't disagree with you, both of you. There is consideration in the infrastructure committee to see how we can expedite the process. We got to evaluate the costs, we got to evaluate the capabilities of the crews that we normally work with, and we also have to assess whether certain streets are ready for it. We don't want to put a sidewalk in and then be tearing it up for sewers. But I think we hope in the near future, probably taking words out of Colonel Rice's mouth, because he's the chair for the infrastructure committee, but we hope to come up with a more expedited plan. Anything you would add?
I was gonna do my committee report later.
Why don't we just wait for the committee?
We can do that.
Okay,
thank you.
but thank you. Thank you both for being here this evening. Appreciate it. Any other comments? We will close the audience comment section and move on to item 3 on our agenda, which is a consideration by council of 2 sign variances granted at the last planning commission meeting regarding the Western Reserve Church at 30500 Fairmount Boulevard. Mr. Byron, you want to encapsulate what the variances were that were granted?
Sure, I can do that. Usually you have the committee.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jack.
Okay,
No,
either way
Ms.
is
Godick,
good.
Ms. Godick, you
All
do
right.
this, you do this.
There was only one item on the agenda for the planning commission, and it was the sign variances. So basically, the Church of the Western Reserve is, you know, a Lander and Fairmount, and they have an existing larger sign kind of facing the circle, and then they have a directional sign at their actual entrance on Fairmount. They were asking, it's zoned U1, which is residential, and they were asking for a variance for both signs. And the commission agreed to give them the variance that would conform in a U2 district for the larger sign on the circle. That was a little bit smaller than the sign that they were had submitted plans for. It's 24 square feet is what the U2 permits. And then the directional sign entering from Fairmount, that the standard in the U2 district is actually quite small, and taking into account it's kind of around the corner from where their main sign would be. You know, at that time there were a couple of feet of snow on the ground, and the existing U2 requirements, I think it was 3 feet tall. And so we granted an extra variance for that to let them have the directional sign as well, but also to make it a little bit taller in conformance with the plans that they had brought to planning commission. So sorry to recap, basically they're gonna replace that front larger sign that's on the circle, and they're going to replace the directional sign at the entrance off Fairmount. And the replacement sign for that directional sign, I believe, is very similar size to the one that they actually have there right now. So that it's not anything, not any glaring difference gonna be there when they proceed.
Thank you.
Is that it?
Thank you.
What is it currently though? Residential? And you're
Right, so it's zone
Yeah,
U1,
U2.
which is residential, and so the large sign is gonna conform with the U2 standard. And then the smaller directional sign does not conform with the U2 standard. It's actually gonna be a little bit bigger than the U2 standard.
Assuming taller, you mean.
Taller, yes, sorry. And then this is, basically coming up to council for an extra level of approval.
Is it like backlit or anything?
I don't think so, there's no lights associated with it, right?
not on.
Do we have to approve variances?
Great question, Bob.
There's, under the code, there's a process by which anything that isn't a variance for a residence comes to council for review.
For review, not for approval.
Correct.
Okay.
After the review, council may, not required to, by majority vote, amend, modify, alter, revise, reverse, disapprove, or recommit to the commission the action or decision that was taken by the commission. If council doesn't want to take any action and just let the decision stand, you don't have to take a motion.
Good to go.
Okay. So at this point, I guess I would say, is there any motion regarding this? If there is not, we will pass on.
We make a motion to let it stand?
It's not authorized by the ordinance. You'd be out of order.
Don't make me rule you out of the.
Okay. I'm good with it.
All right. Anyone else? All right. So the variance is granted. We'll stand. Thank you to the representatives of Western Reserve Church who are here tonight. And you go back and tell your folks they're done.
Awesome.
Well, they come to ADR.
They're done.
Yeah, you gotta go to ADR.
Absolutely.
You're done
Yep,
with this.
yep, and pull a permit.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. Thank you
They
so
can
much.
pull
Everybody have a good
the-
night.
He's a stickler.
Yeah.
They can pull the-
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
All right, thank you, council. Next, we'll move on to ordinance 2026-04, an ordinance amending 220.05. It's on for second reading tonight. Someone has to remind me what this was. This was the committee one. Yes. Yes. So this stands as it was. The addition, there is an addition, council, just to draw your attention to it. The committee that Mr. Modi described to council last week has been added to this committee list. And with that, I turn it to council for your comments, consideration.
Cindy, I had a question about the Futures Committee related to the audience comment we had just heard. I can't recall, did you have an idea of how many residents were on it or were intending to be on it? I know that in here it says it's up to the council and the committee, but I didn't know if you could mention that.
I had a suggestion on a slide, two, maybe three, but based on president of the other committees we have in existence. I think, sorry, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
To me, I drafted this, I know Mr. Lemay, I sent you a version, it's pretty boilerplate. You had some revisions. I forwarded that on to the law director here, but
My only comment was, as I said, I support this idea, and I want to wanted to give a little better sense. This is like new ideas, new services, new facilities. My concern is I don't want this to become the complaint committee. So my trash didn't get picked up, call the City Futures Committee. So what I was thinking about adding, just something when you say, there's the language in here about, issues, ideas, and requests.
Could you get, with all respect, could you
Yeah.
just direct us where?
Yeah, that's in
you are?
the third line, starting on the right-hand side. Yeah, so it says organizing issues, ideas, and requests, and I was thinking about, would it narrow the scope and be a little more directional, if you said, concerning new or improved city services or facilities? Because that would kind of put some bounds around it, as opposed to complaints about.
So I kind of go the opposite. I like it because it has no bounds, and he's got large left and right lateral limits right now.
Yeah.
The language, which means, to me, this is such an interesting concept, and every organization, well-run organization, has a futures group or a strategic studies group, and they're not bound by tight rules. They're usually given wide latitude, and if we approve this committee tonight, it's gonna look different in 3 months, and it's gonna look different in 6 months, because he's gonna, however he shapes it, and then goes, okay, we're doing too many complaints, and we're gonna narrow it down, but I like it because it's very generic language.
Yeah, I guess that's my concern. A call that should go to the service department shouldn't go there if they can go directly to them.
Absolutely.
let's play that out for a second, okay? So let's say a lot of people are calling in, or whatever way there's inbound messaging about, I don't know, I want to walk on sidewalks in winter, or I need trash pickup twice a week. I'm making it up, right?
Yeah.
That could be a resounding message to the administration. You need a way to message this to residents, these types of topics.
Mhm.
And that's a topic that gets presented as part of the committee readout.
Yeah.
Say, hey, improve your outbound messaging on these areas, for example.
Yeah, I guess the other side of that, if the message came in about trash pickup and no one called them back or no one did anything, it would be a delayed response that would be blamed on the service department. Like, okay, Jim, where's your team? And that's what I don't want to have happen. So that's the kind of balance I'm trying to get, so people understand.
So I'll put it in, God help me, I'll put it in military terms. So current operations, future operations, very simply.
Yeah, that's where I was going with.
And we want current operations to stay with the
Right.
service department,
Right.
with the mayor, with the police and fire department. And
Right.
future operations, kind of looking out over the
I think
horizon.
it's captured in the name, right? I mean,
What's that?
it's the Futures Committee. I would hope
Exactly.
that someone that wasn't like my trash didn't get picked up.
Exactly.
Just call Sunday.
Yeah.
You never know what, if your trash doesn't get picked up, call him.
It'll be picked up in the future.
So,
But that was my only concern about that, is just to make it directionally, so it's, new or improved city services or facilities opposed to current operations, so.
Well, let me just say one more thing on that, right? I don't think any resident is ever gonna read what's on this page. So this is just for us, you know, as an ordinance.
Yeah.
In the reality, it's gonna matter how the committee exists, what its norms are, how it engages with residents, and that will have to get figured out.
You can shape that with your marketing and publicity that's not here, so.
I think we already
Yeah,
have
that's
one
how-
resident.
so I think those are both
that's
fair
interested in the
comments,
committee.
Yeah, and that was something I was curious about. We don't define here how we pick the participant.
We don't do that for any of the
Yeah,
committees.
so we don't do that for any of the committees, no.
So that's the committee chair, according to the ordinance, correct? So this is, you know, if we want to have it more
Any
residential.
member of council can nominate somebody
Yeah.
for a committee. I think traditionally there's been consultation between members and the committee chair
Yeah.
of whatever the committee is.
So, okay. We done discussing? I'm ready to make a motion to suspend so that we get this ordinance in the books.
There's a motion on the table. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Any further discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Ms. Swords?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Moody?
Yes.
Ms. Godit?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Colonel Rice?
Yes.
Okay. First, we'll entertain a motion then to adopt 2026-04.
So motion.
Second.
All right, is there any, before we move to a vote, is there any further discussion regarding this? Anyone wants to have? Not hearing then, roll call, please.
Ms. Swords?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Moody?
Yes.
Ms. Godit?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Colonel Rice?
Yes.
Okay,
And then can I motion Sandeep to chair the committee?
Second.
You gotta eat your own cooking, Cindy.
roll call, please, on that.
Ms. Swords?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Moody?
Yes.
Ms. Godit?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Colonel Rice?
Yes.
Okay, congratulations to council for the adoption and to Mr. Modi for his future as the head of futures. Next, we move to ordinance 2026-05. This deals with, this is for new members of council, it's a bit of an annual event. The acceptance by the city of a grant we annually receive from NOPEC. And Mr. Advent, how much is that grant this year?
If I'm not mistaken, it's around $16,000.
Okay. This grant typically, a condition of the grant is we have to use it for energy efficient purposes.
Writ large.
Writ large, yes. We're given a lot of flexibility as to how we describe that. We've used it in the past for new heaters in the fire department, LED lighting on our campus and elsewhere, things like that. I don't know if we really, Mr. Admin and I have talked generally about maybe for some street safety issues, we might be able to electrify them either in the way of crosswalks or things maybe along that line, but we're still developing how this money can best be directed.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Why does the council have to vote to accept a grant?
That is a condition of the grant, I believe. That it
You
needs to be
believe, or it
accepted by the
is?
city.
No, it is. It is. They want approval by the legislative body.
Okay.
What's the dollar amount for 2026?
I think it's like 16,000.
Did you just say that before? Sorry.
16,000, I think.
Okay.
Don't know for sure.
I think it's plus, 16 plus.
Yeah,
It's not a
We're voting to-
It's not a round
To
number.
accept money.
yeah, it's not right.
That was kind of my point.
Is there a fine print somewhere?
I'm gratified that you were all in favor of accepting money.
Yeah, there is fine print.
Susan, your
When-
NOPEC gala is coming
When you
up.
accept the grant, you are committing to being with NOPEC for another year. So it's a way that they give you funds and keep you as part of the organization. So
That's a fair
yeah,
observation.
so you're annually renewing your commitment to that organization.
It doesn't charge us dues or anything then, right?
No, they have very ably represented, I believe, the city's interests in the energy field.
We're
For a
gonna
number
have some work with them in the
years.
future.
Is there any matching clause?
No. All right, so could we have a motion to suspend?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Swartz?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Modi?
Yes.
Ms. Godek?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Colonel Rice?
Yes.
All right, and a motion for the adoption of 05.
So moved.
And second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Swartz?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Modi?
Yes.
Ms. Godek?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Mr. Colonel Rice?
Yes.
Okay, that brings us to ordinance 2026-06, which actually references back to our first act of today. Following the planning commission, Ms. Godek was questioning why the folks from Garfield Church weren't done, and it had to now go up to the council level, and she asked if Mr. Byron could draft something that would change that. And so that's what you see in front of you this evening. Let me comment on it for just a second. It's actually interesting the way this thing turns out through the striking of the language that exists in what's introduced. Pepper Pike, and it reads on a topic that came up a bit during the last election, the concept of a Board of Zoning Appeals, a BZA, which Pepper Pike does not have. In a large city, typically you may have both a planning commission and dealing with variances and a Board of Zoning Appeals that could be dealing with appeals from decisions of a planning commission. Pepper Pike is a smaller agency, and our volume of work does not, frankly, in my opinion, merit a separate Board of Zoning Appeals. We can choose, we can have a planning commission, or we can have a BZA, but to have both is just bureaucratic overkill for a city our size. And more than just the legislative layering it would create. I think it would hurt the way that we do business around here. Because the expertise that the city enjoys of people who are considering variances or other planning issues exists in the planning commission. And if we were to have a separate BZA, then it'd be staffed, in my view, if it was ever created, with a total non-political board of residents. I don't think the mayor should be on it. I don't think the council should be on it. I think that is the purpose of a BZA, to take it out of politics altogether. And which is one of the problems that we have in our current system of appeals of the planning commission rising to the level of the purely elected officials of the city council. So the way that this is drafted currently is to leave the expertise where it is with the planning commission. And if there is a denial of the effort or the application, that the law director is charged with creating findings of fact, conclusions of law to sustain or explain why the commission acted as it did, so that if the applicant needs to go and challenge that further, the applicant will now slot into the judicial process of the 2506 appeal, which is, you know, the traditional manner in which these things can get challenged. You know, in a bigger organization, it would go from planning commission to zoning appeals to a 2506 appeal. Here, because we don't have the weight really to sustain both bodies, what this legislation is suggesting is that we should go from the planning commission to the 2506 appeal in the common pleas court. It's a fair process for applicants, and it streamlines a lot. And in my opinion, although there are two political members, if you would, of the planning commission, being the mayor and one member of council, it's the majority of the planning commission are residents. 3 out of the 5 are residents. So I'm comfortable with saying that the determinations of the planning commission are ripe to advance to a 2506 appeal if that were to become necessary. Let me say this also. In our years of, at least in my years of down to the 15th of administering, have we had any planning commission thing ever go to court? Was there one?
Yeah, there was one, and I recall they did not exhaust.
That was the procedural problem. Yeah, the procedural problem. Someone went to a 2506 appeal, and their issue was they stumbled on the more protracted administrative levels that we had in the city that fouled them up, frankly, and they ended up getting thrown out of court because they had failed to exhaust administrative remedies within the city. This will streamline that process for residents who feel aggrieved that they want to, you know, take it to a court and see if their position is merited or not. So I'm pretty comfortable with the way this is drafted. I think it will streamline it for applicants, and because of its new imposition of the city having to create timely findings of fact and conclusions of law that will be approved at the following planning commission meeting. I think that's also a significant improvement over the system we have now, where one of the problems is we don't do often findings of fact, conclusions of law until something occurs. And that's not really, that's not the most tasty manner of proceeding from my preference either. So I think this is a better way, and I would support the council acting on 2026-06.
This does have to go to the planning commission, and then we have to have a public hearing for it before it's enacted. So that's pursuant to the charter.
Okay.
And we're going to get back to this, so I'll just make one comment. When I last looked at this, there are quite a few cities that have provisions like we have today, because they don't have BZAs either, and so it's a policy choice, and there's pros and cons. But they made the decision that going to court isn't really a viable option for most residents because it's expensive. Well, it's expensive, right? And it's not viable. And so if your next door neighbor is going to get a variance approved that's going to detract from the quality of your life or depreciate your home value or change the character of the neighborhood, no one has the resources to do it. It's just hard to say, okay, you can go to court now. And so I think the intent of this was to have another layer of review that isn't going to be expensive as going to court. And in those rare circumstances, and I agree with you, in 15 years I've been here, 14, I'm hard pressed to say that someone said our planning commission did it wrong, right? They get it right most of the time. But in that rare event, they're human though, they can make mistakes. In that rare event, this gave our citizens the right to appeal to the council to say, hey, they didn't think about this, or they didn't think about that, or I don't think I got a fair hearing. And they don't have to spend tens of thousands of dollars going to court. And so these other communities, Solon has one, I think, Brecksville has one, those names come to my mind when I last looked at this. And there's quite a few communities, Mayfield, I think, have a provision like we have today to address the problem of, is it really a right of appeal if I have to go spend thousands of dollars in court? And so that's the policy trade-off, the pros and cons, and we can have a further discussion when this comes back.
I think what you described is the most compelling argument as to what a complication of going right to the 2506 is. What it does, though, that I think is beneficial, which we experienced with like the Western Reserve, is and I understand the council made a change in 23, beginning of 24, if I recall, where all non-residential variances came to council. At a minimum, I really would suggest that we rid ourselves of that at this point, because it's simply creating an unnecessary bureaucratic step that people have to go through. And I think that's almost separate and apart from
That's
the other arguments.
That's a separate issue.
Yeah, I agree, that's a separate issue.
But
But I
both are being
support that one.
accomplished with the change.
So, but I want to, can I try to say that back to make sure I understood what you said? I mean, because so it would only come to the council if somebody was actually actively appealing the
No,
plan.
no, right now.
Right now, it comes, yes, but is that to find a middle ground with what Jim is saying and the intent here, is it feasible to say it doesn't have to come to council unless somebody actually wants to appeal it?
Right. If it was an affirmative action by
A person.
an unhappy applicant,
And I'm
then it
happy-
would come. I guess my remaining concern of that, the council would have to, deliberate, is it still puts the appeal among the elected body, which
Right.
is,
So
has
Jackie-
some,
Jackie is a planning commission member. What do you think?
I think the automatic, like what we had tonight, I don't necessarily see a reason for that.
Concur?
And I forget if I asked you, Steve, I think we had one other time since the beginning of 2024 when this change was made that there was an appeal that got kicked up. Do you remember what that was?
It
It was
automatically came up.
Yeah,
I
it was a
can't remember.
similar
Yeah.
scenario, right? Like something like no one had any objection. It was like no problem. I do agree with you in terms of, it makes sense to think about avoiding, that leapfrog from planning to court. I don't know.
I remember it was the shopping plaza sign, and I believe they got a variance that came to council automatically. Maybe that was before.
That's a separate issue though, so I think that's
Excellent.
another one for us to take off.
Yeah, there's two buckets here. One is,
Yeah.
this is the one we're dealing with tonight is the residential variances. And the other bucket is non-residential, so businesses, institutions. So there's two buckets on this now.
So the one on this agenda is only residential.
It's only the residential. And that's, if you're owner of a business, you have more resources to kind of fight that. But if you're a homeowner and think they really got it wrong and the value of your house is going down or the character of your neighborhood is going to change, then
But
going to
also-
court just isn't.
I'm also trying to understand why council would ever decide that they knew more than the planning commission. I mean, the planning commission, they're well-informed, experienced, knowledgeable people, and they've made a decision. So what, and we
With
picked
input from the
them.
ABR and with
Yeah,
input
and
from
we
the building
picked them to
director.
be there because they're competent. So, why would we suddenly want to say, oh, fine, you're right, that you make sense now. You should override what the planning commission ruled?
Well, we have that in all kinds of systems around here where we get a right of appeal because people are human and they can make mistakes. That's the simple answer.
One clarifying question. So if planning commission says yes to a residential request, does it still come here?
Not unless someone's agreed and someone appeals.
But if
For
they say yes,
residential.
then why would they agree? Like,
Like if the neighbor
If the
wanted
neighbor
to
said,
appeal it, basically, if
Right.
the neighbor was like,
Except I've watched the planning commission, they take the input from the neighbors.
sure, yeah.
So,
Right, and it's an interesting process differentiation also. The planning commission is an administrative organization. It is not a legislative organization. It is not, a judicial organization. It's an administrative organization.
powered by the charter though.
Well, the way it's framed now, it takes that administrative process and throws it into the legislative process. Or as, at least legislators as determiners of an administrative process. Well, it's an odd order that we've created.
when they call it, when they act at that level, it's quasi-legislative, because if you grant a conditional use there, conditional use exception, you're saying to a zoned property that's zoned retail, and saying, well, you can also do this. So it's quasi-legislative in the sense that they're kind of amending the zoning code for this one person. And same with variances. I had a conversation a long time ago with, right when I was new on council, with the Shaker Heights Law Director, spent a lot of time with me, and he said, the danger they found in Shaker Heights is variances can become creeping changes to the code. And he gave me an example. He said, historically, they had not kept track of their granting of variances. And so there was kind of in a meeting and lost in the minutes, and you kind of didn't know what was granted, which is kind of the practice we do here, maybe not a best practice. But he found out that over time, various, and this is the weird example, he said, we had granted corner lot fence height variances in Shaker Heights. And the small lots in Shaker Heights, people want to use their backyard. And what happened was they granted those, from time to time, and eventually they granted so many of them that it effectively, practically, changed the zoning code. And suddenly they're in a position where, because you could drive around the city and say, oh, corner lot, height. They would come and apply for their quote variance, which, legally, technically, it only applies to that property. But as a practical matter, it grew to something that changed the character of some, because all these fences were there. And their planning commission felt like we kind of have to do this because we did it for every other corner lot that's come before us. And so that's a danger that grants can accumulate over time and put practical control.
Corner lots.
Or it's pointed out that the
There was a
original
problem with
zoning
the
was the
zoning.
problem.
Yeah.
I think.
But the point is that kind of change should come here.
Well, but the other day, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Byron, but the Ohio Supreme Court continuously says that variances are not to protect the city, they're to protect the homeowner or the property owner, correct?
Yeah, the essence of the variance is to allow the city to provide relief to essentially an unconstitutional application where it doesn't make sense, there's no health, safety, or welfare reason. And that does protect the property owner, protects the constitutional right of the property owner. It also protects the city from litigation.
Right.
To avoid the constitutional denial, if there's no good reason to apply.
Property owner rights over the rights of others.
Yes, absolutely.
Like in the baseball, it's got tie goes the runner, tie goes the homeowner.
I'm also kind of thinking like if I'm in the perspective, if I'm, a resident coming and I want to appeal a decision, what would I rather do? Would I rather, sort of shoot my shot with counsel, that's free? And then if I have to take it to court, maybe, right? And I'm sort of willing to say like, oh, well, you know, it's a political body, but
So when you're talking tens of thousands of dollars, are these not like small playing courts?
No.
yeah, but you,
No.
well, you, I mean, but regardless, you have to, you
You have
know,
to get an attorney or you
I mean,
represent
you could-
yourself?
you could, yeah.
You have to get a lawyer. You're in common police court.
And then it would take a long time just to get on the docket.
It takes a long time and a lot of money.
Yeah, so,
It kind of foreclosed, it's not, as a practical matter, there's no right of appeal because it's so expensive to go do that. For a business owner, maybe, because they would have a lot at stake and they're running a business. But for a homeowner, it's just, it's a tough
Right, you
thing.
can get into a lot of, litigation questions too, because the 2506 typically is not a de novo hearing. It's, by that, for anyone unfamiliar, that means a fresh hearing, start over. No facts are presumed in evidence, you just start again.
Mhm.
There is a record that reviewing bodies are bound by.
If there's conclusions of fact.
If there are
And if you
conclusions of
follow
fact.
the proper procedure, allowing cross-examination, sworn witnesses, and that sort of
Yeah, so it creates a more, things get complicated so far as the
They
way
do.
the record is created, what part of that record is binding. And I speak that as someone who has tried 2506 cases.
You know of what you speak when it comes to legal fees.
I actually do. And
Who introduced this on the agenda today?
it's good.
yeah,
Yeah,
it came from
something.
after, you know, the planning commission, when I realized this, you know, the church was gonna have to send a representative back here for what I knew, I assumed wasn't gonna be anything contentious. I'm just like, this is just an extra step.
But that wasn't even a vote today, right?
Right, so it's kind of like
two buckets.
two separate issues,
Yeah.
right,
Right.
yeah.
So what I'm gonna suggest now is, I think there's been a beneficial discussion. This has to go to the planning commission anyway. Why don't we kick it down there, and we can get some of there will be a conversation at the planning commission
Can I
level.
make
And,
one more question? No,
I'm sorry, say again?
can I ask one more question on this?
All right.
I mean, what happens when we start setting a precedent that this body overrides decisions of the planning commission?
I think that is a very fair point, and why don't we leave that pregnant question hanging? And,
I just comment on that is, again, in the 14 years I've been here, it's almost never happened. So this is really kind of something really off the wall. For whatever reason, the planning commission just doesn't, yeah.
It's just like with your fence scenario. Once it happens, the next person's gonna think, I
Well,
should do it too.
I
And then,
Well,
it'll start.
I don't
If we haven't
know.
had anything in 14 years, I don't mind taking it to a what hearing of
2506.
2506. If you feel that strongly as.
If I am understanding what caught Ms. Godek's attention was the automatic nature of this coming up to the council level. The rest of this is sort of caught up in the, changing of the ordinance as it exists, but the particular fact that caught Ms. Godek's attention was the automatic nature
So,
of having to go to
yeah, so
council.
the double buckets
For
here.
non-residential.
So for the double buckets, like Mr. May pointed out, and I'm totally good with, we shouldn't be looking at variances for commercial property. If that's the planning commission's job, why, we need to get, in my mind, we need to dump that. The other one has more interesting value on the discussion, but obviously that's gonna go to the planning commission, but I don't know why the council has to approve or even look at variances for, just because it's a commercial property.
Well, let's marinate in some of the ideas that we've discussed
All
here
right.
tonight, and we'll put this on, having had a first reading, it'll get referred to the planning commission for their input, and we'll bring it back up to council. Okay, next, we need a motion to enter into an agreement with the business network team for the purchase of new access controls for the police station door locking system. Your doors don't lock?
Not all
Chief,
of them.
please enlighten us.
Sure, this was on the budget going into this year in capital. And
it's an upgrade of all the door access. So it'll be hardwired, just like service, just like the city hall, matched with the key fobs. We currently have end-of-life items that we're cannibalizing to keep other doors working. They can't be serviced anymore. A lot of the cost is labor. They're gonna have to run the wiring for everything. And it'll be on backup as well with the generator. So it'll be all tied into the panel and keep us modern.
It's a very reasonable building maintenance upkeep item. The lock system simply does not function as effectively. We have people repairing it, changing batteries, doors,
Can you,
being discovered not as secure as you would like it at that moment. They're immediately attended to. We don't leave them, unattended. I don't want anyone to have that misimpression. But this is a necessary upgrade to our locking system. It'll bring it into consistency with the other doors in the complex.
It also includes a communication upgrade with the lobby. The phone doesn't work currently in the lobby, so this will be an intercom system as well that ties in with Beechwood Dispatch immediately.
Yeah.
So,
I was gonna say, Chief, what would be a good one, two-liner to explain this to a regular resident, what the better locks do?
well, it's better access control, so they'll be able to program into the system, who has access to certain rooms. Like, I shouldn't have access to the evidence room, right? It's all easily controlled.
This will give us better tracking ability of ingress and egress of the
There's
building.
accountability for every room, correct, auditing. And we have sensitive documentation that not everybody should have access to, even if they're in the police department. So those rooms will be secured and tracked properly as well.
So the police department needs to be hardened more than city hall due to the storage of weapons, storage of evidence, and storage of documents, right?
That too.
Well put.
Is there a sense of how much has been spent? You said it's like near end of life. Is there a sense of how much has been spent to like keep repairing and kind of fixing things as it breaks?
Oh boy, we've had this current system for over a decade now. And it takes 8 AA batteries in each door panel.
Oh,
So,
jeez.
yeah, it's pretty old. It does communicate through Wi-Fi, but it's way past.
I think you've stated your case, Chief.
Yeah.
But I got one more. In the back of your head, do you have this feeling that this is okay, what's on here, but there's something even better?
Not really. No, I don't have that feeling. There could be something out there, but we're pretty happy with the system at City Hall and the service
So
department
it's
has.
fob access or swipe?
Yeah, strictly key fob, swipe.
Total swipe access.
Right, and you can control who has access to what.
And it brings all the key fobs together.
Together,
Right.
same system.
So you're carrying one key fob.
And it sounds like it not only controls who has access, but it keeps a audit trail, a log
Correct.
of who's been where and when. So
Yes.
Very important.
This is very standard for any
The old system did that, it was just
secure facility.
passed on the line,
Okay. So that being said, I entertain a motion to enter into the agreement for the purchase of this door locking system.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Swords?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Modi?
Yes.
Ms. Godick?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Earl Rice?
Yes.
16 doors, I didn't mention that.
Open six.
Okay. We will move on then to our committees. We've had at least 2 committees meeting, maybe more. Colonel, you want to begin?
I will. And for my brief tonight, Jim, if you'll take one of those and pass amongst the council members. Okay, the Road Infrastructure Committee met on Monday at 0800 in here. We talked and reviewed the purpose of the committee. The committee is typically, over the last couple of years, been more focused on roads, sidewalks, sewer to septic. And based on the language of the mission statement within the committee ordinance, I told the committee I'm going to expand it and include City Hall and any other buildings and facilities, including parks that the city owns and operates. So we're gonna keep an eye on that stuff. So we'll start with City Hall. There's $150,000, and these are all recommendations that will formalize a little bit more. And I'll talk about the formalized presentation process, but recommendations out of the committee was to look closely, hard, quick at a very serious upgrade to City Hall. And there's $150,000 in the budget this year, and we believe that the city needs to contract for a needs assessment. The mayor and I have met with the architect who did a prior needs assessment, so he has about 80% product. He's the architect who did the service building. Very familiar, he's doing Brattonall City Hall now. He's very familiar with municipal buildings, has a great product, is the 80% solution. But we think that the city needs to get a contract out shortly to get a full needs assessment done now that we've looked at the second floor. And the committee also believes that we need to pull, Mr. Ranktor put about $3.5 million in the budget in 28. We think we need to pull that left to 27 and just get moving on City Hall while we have some, always have some motion. Some of the things that the committee's gonna ask the administration and the architect to look at is a real no kidding ADA system, not an elevator that you put in your home, but a real commercialized elevator that goes to the basement, second floor, and third floor. We're gonna look at energy efficiency upgrades to the building. We would recommend a complete gut of the building, add on this chamber so we could actually get full audience in here and make it more of a professional space. Also look at energy efficiency, energy upgrades that end up paying for themselves in the long run. Full LED lighting throughout. This building does not have good HVAC. This is the 1970s called and they want their building back. So we're gonna go for some real cutting edge technology, which would be a recommendation to the administration and that the architect will do with making all of the HVAC system geothermal here. The architect believes we have a good geothermal field out here in front of the building. He's got a project maybe 2 miles west of here that he did geothermal. Geothermal is a little more expensive than standard HVAC when you go in, but guess what? The fuel's free once you dig the wells and you put the system in to transfer. And guess what? You have a smaller electric bill because you're not putting AC into the building. It's all geothermal. So it does the heating and the cooling. So we want to be cutting edge. We think the city's cutting edge and we think the building needs to be cutting edge. We think we need to spend the money because it's a 40-year project. This is not a Band-Aid that we're going to recommend. This is not just putting new carpet in and kind of rejiggering the building. This is a full-on renovation, bringing it up to standard and up to speed. I'm not going to say the word energy self-sufficient, but if we put solar on the roof for the small electric footprint we're going to have, because we're going to have LED lightings, really all we're going to be doing is lighting and computers, because the heating and cooling should be through geothermal, if we can do that. So the architect, he's actually pretty excited about looking into that possibility for us. And he thinks the field out here again on the front lawn is very capable of doing that. So
When you say you had an 80% solution, what is?
So he has provided drawings in the past.
Okay.
So, but that was prior to bringing the second floor into play. It was prior to talking about a really complete
I
renovation.
see. Okay.
Okay,
So
so,
you think in terms of what he did? Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so really impressive stuff. So that's that on City Hall. Sidewalks. We had a long discussion on sidewalks. This year, sidewalks in the budget right now are for Gates Mills Boulevard.
You mean trails, don't you?
Trails, recreational trails, Gates Mills Boulevard 2 and Brainerd from Cedar to Kerrsdale. So we talked in the committee that we would like to see sidewalks accelerated and just get sidewalks done in probably 2 years. So this year we would like to recommend to the council that we do Cedar Road sidewalk from Lander to Brainerd, and that includes finishing Lander from North Ursuline to Cedar. Recommend Brainerd all the way to Shaker Boulevard. And that's gonna be, Don says about $3.3 million. So that's what we'd be looking to bump up the capital projects for sidewalks for this year. The handout that I gave you here, if you'll go to it and you look at the yellow marker along Pine Tree, along Lewis, and along Chagrin, Mr. Schmidt, who's also on the Road and Infrastructure Committee, put this together for us. So we gave this to Don to look at and start to plan out. We can do this without doing any work on Lander Circle. It doesn't interfere with future things on Lander Circle. And what it also does, it puts us on the north side of Chagrin Boulevard to the crosswalk by the library. So we don't have to worry about this argument with, well, if the school board doesn't want sidewalks on Chagrin, then we're not gonna do them. Well, this keeps it all on the north side, and then you cross at the one crosswalk that's already there. So Don's gonna go through this. I would like to see it as of this year, which would bump us up even more, but I think this one is gonna be a little harder for Don to plan, and I'll let him talk about that in a bit. But that's kind of how we've fixed the egg. And people go, well, Lewis is a short road. What about the road? We said, just put a sidewalk on there because it's gonna really connect everything, and I don't want people walking in the street.
Let me just add, what was appealing to me about Mr. Schmidt's suggestion here was that it creates walkways for the retail district, which I think is very beneficial. Make that all walkable.
I agree. I like that idea as well. I do want to make a comment that, subsequent conversations that I had with some of the Board of Education members, they're not at all opposed to having the sidewalk. And there is some concern about if kids start actually walking, would they need crossing guards? But there's no reason that still to not consult with them. And I don't know how the city liaisons with the school board, but there's no reason to really not bring them into the conversation.
So wait, I agree.
Yeah.
Is the first preference to put it on the school side?
No.
Well,
And there's some terrain problems on the south side as well as, and where are people gonna cross? We have to put another crosswalk in. This one connects right to the crosswalk by the library.
yeah, I don't remember if we talked about that. I put that up to Don's expertise to make a recommendation to us, whether it's the north or the south. I'm still open to either one.
I am too.
But there are already existing crosswalks. There's 2 crosswalks already existing that can get you from the north side to the south side.
They're already there.
Yeah.
All right, next, roads. So we went over to $1.8 million in the budget this year for roads, and we made some comments that we don't want to see new roads done just to do roads. We want to finish sidewalks. We want to put that check in the box. We probably bring City Hall forward. So only really roads that tie to sewer and septic. So for instance, I believe Trillium Trail's on the list for this year. It's going to get all torn up from the sewer project. So that's a thumbs up from the Road and Infrastructure Committee recommendation. Yeah, keep going with that. But for instance, water line, sorry. But any utilities, let's put it that way, work that is in conjunction, we're okay with repaving a street, but not like, oh, let's just do Fairmount Boulevard this year. We think we need to put just roads that's all they think they need, but you look at the condition and we don't have any roads that are poor condition on the condition chart except for Cedar. So I kind of threw the marker down that we really need to do something on Cedar, and they're gonna work on Cedar for this year. They think they might be able to get a mill and fill, but the administration, Don, really have to do a lot of legwork with Mayfield and Mayfield Heights and the county. But we believe if you're just planning on roads, that Cedar's gotta be a priority, and we shouldn't do any roads that aren't tied to utility projects unless they're called Cedar Road. Let's see, Lander Circle, we were gonna talk about that, but we're gonna defer that to the next meeting. Don, at the October meeting, gave us a number of intersections to study, or gave the council, previous council, nothing went with it. And Eric added some other intersections to study. So my task to Don is to come back to us either at the next meeting next week or sometime into March with a full-blown proposal for intersection studies that we can appropriate funds for and get these intersection studies in the books.
Is that for traffic control or what?
Yes,
It's a little bit of,
everything.
I think
And
the first thing is
crossings.
just to get new data, traffic counts.
Okay.
As we add sidewalks and trails, we're now getting more pedestrian interactions on intersections that in the past didn't have a lot of that. So it's a good problem to have, but if
Yeah.
we want to get ahead of it and continue to address it, we're finding that all of a sudden people are like, I walked here and I've got nowhere to go. Or there's no push button to operate the signal. So those types of things that weren't problems before, now we have more people walking around. So we want to-
And council talked about it towards November-ish of last year and found it was gonna be like $1,500. And it's some low amount per intersection. It's gonna be not a large contract, whatever it was.
I think we used about 2,500 an intersection.
Yeah.
Just get the other initial
But,
data.
we want him to bring that whole package together, get it appropriated and get the studies done so that we can use that as we help shape, all of our other projects. We had discussion on sanitary sewers. We're not gonna change up the recommendations on changing anything. The administration has a good plan for that for the year and in the out years for septic to sewer. One thing that I'm gonna put on our to-do list, is kind of work through the administration on, the roads that don't have water for the hydrants that the chief's concerned about. And we'll keep that in our view. We're gonna start meeting once a month, probably the second or third Monday of every month until we really get a strong rhythm going and get everything lined up. It's a little scattered, and I apologize for that, because what I would like when we come to brief this after the meeting is a product that we can throw up on the big screen to show the audience and show the rest of council of exactly what we're doing and what our recommendations are, and we just start working down our list and just keep updating our list. And, Don gave a great presentation on October. That's a great starting, that's more than a starting point. That's about a 30-slide brief. And we're gonna look to do some 3 or 4 slide brief that just kind of has our laundry list of things to get done and just kind of keep working our way down and add stuff to it as we need to. So I apologize up front. The product is not ready and it's not where I would like it to be. But we're gonna do that, and we're gonna meet more often and have a better rhythm. And one of our current citizens on the council, we did it around the commission. We had our meeting on Monday because he got a knee replacement yesterday, and I got some good pictures of him, and he's recovering nicely, and we'll be at our next meeting. And we're gonna have our next meeting downstairs because he's gonna be using a walker, and we can go right in the entrance downstairs. So we're gonna have that meeting. I think it's gonna be the 16th of March at 0800 downstairs. And I think that encapsulates it.
Was that an 8-hour meeting?
Well, we're about an hour and 30 minutes,
Really?
hour and 40 minutes.
Nice job.
It was 2 hours.
Was it 2 hours?
It was 2 hours.
Um,
My wife was waiting on me and I had to keep.
I'm sorry for 2 hours.
No, it was a
The
good
reason
2
I
hours.
go,
A lot was accomplished.
I really want to get to an hour meeting once a month. And really
Yeah.
just kind of tighten things up.
Did you guys touch on potentially taking the trails south on Lander to connect to Orange at all?
We did not.
Okay.
We can.
Sure.
We can put it on the to-do list.
I mean, it just makes a lot of sense, but again, I don't know if that, I know that plays into the Lander Circle situation and everything.
Well, part of the traffic thing is gonna be, Don's got some homework to do with Heritage Academy and how that affects the circle. That's why we put the circle off,
Yeah.
because there's a lot more moving pieces. And the really beauty about this is some of the things we've talked about, sidewalks before, we maybe put them in and then have to tear them out, but this, no matter what we do with the circle, we think this works.
Great.
I got one more question, Colonel. So when we plan out Cedar, can we do the assessment of cost? Can we do like a phase 2?
I'm sorry, I didn't mention that. So that's why we broke Cedar down into really three phases, but maybe two. First phase, Lander to Brainerd, because we have good setbacks. And there's the homes on Cedar, there's great setback. Settlers Lane, or not Settlers Lane, Suffolk has good setback. Edgewood Trace and Lux don't have as good a setback as it would appear, but if we talk to the two developers, make them more walkable neighborhoods, we should be able to get easements. So problem with going down towards your end and why we have it on the back burner for Don is the trees are right up on the road. There's no closed stormwater. The stormwater's all open ditches there. So the expense, the work is gonna be significantly more. So I'm not,
Oh, I get it.
what I'm trying to do is capture some easy stuff that we can get done this year without a lot of pain. But we think that we can execute this pretty well this year.
I mean, that makes sense. I was just advocating, we get that.
It's not
projected
falling
cost.
off, it's not falling off the list.
So the road isn't curved after that point with storm drains?
It's not,
Correct.
No, it's
It's
just
mostly
ditches.
an open ditch system.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes a big difference.
it does, it's problematic. And if you look there, the storm drains here, the road's here, the storm drains here, and there's trees on most of those homes right at the edge of the storm drain.
It doesn't, there's not, it just doesn't justify putting a storm drain, right? Because there's just not enough.
Well, hate to do engineering on the fly, but what you start to do is look at, do you want to run a curve on that side?
Right.
Put in a more formal storm system.
Wow.
Where do you take it? And then that creates the opportunity to put a sidewalk behind the curve.
It's kind of the tail wagging the dog a
Yeah,
little bit.
but the problem with, if you do a sidewalk, if you leave the ditch, then you put the sidewalk past the ditch,
Right.
not really past the ditch, you're pretty far up against the right of way, you're doing a lot of clearing to do that, so.
And then, the other major streets would be 2027.
Correct. Fairmont, in South Woodland will be as projects are finished. So that's already on the list to do, but it's gonna be as, the sanitary sewers are done. Fairmont would be the next one. I think that would really be,
Wait, so is this for 26?
this is 26 or 27. We have to do a lot more work on this. We have a pretty good, Don has a pretty good back to the napkin on Cedar and the rest of Brainerd. And they're kind of look different. This one's, he's got to do more planning and engineering.
I
So-
think with this one on Pine Tree, especially the part that's in your commercial business district, it requires a little bit of a finer look as far as all the existing driveways, and maybe there's an
Yeah.
opportunity to do more of a streetscape, kind of a combination of locating a sidewalk, but also doing some beautification along it.
So maybe, I think you were alluding to this, a significant part of the road budget for this year could get reallocated to sidewalks.
Probably not. I think this is additive.
Well, yeah. In
Well,
cumulative,
you're
it's
right,
additive.
Peter.
Most of the roads budget for this year it's more than aspirational, it's committed to
Yeah.
To the
these streets
utility
that have to be done.
streets.
Yeah.
There was nothing beyond that.
No,
Oh, really?
but we discussed that at length in the committee, like Fairmont, if I was around 2 years ago, I wouldn't have recommended repaving Fairmont just because it wasn't in that bad a condition. So we think that we should pause any just plain road projects until we get Cedar done. That's the priority for the roads.
Yeah, let me just throw in, I would have commented during my section, but I'll throw it in now. Since our meeting, I have made some progress interacting with our county executive and the cities to try to get a meeting together with it. Also speaking with Don about on Cedar, because Cedar has immediate needs.
It does.
And because of the grant programs, such as the 50/50 program, which applications for are due this March, but that is not for 27 money that you're looking at. Money being available in 27. So to address Cedar for this year, which I think we all recognize as needs, Don feels we can accomplish through some necessary point repairs on that street. We can, and it won't be wasted dollars for a future larger street project, because it'll address certain base issues and other things that'll be
And I would,
taken care of in the point repair.
right, and I wouldn't want us to go, okay, we'll just do our half of Cedar on our own and whatever. That's ridiculous. So, that's just not good use of taxpayer dollars from either city or the county or whatever. Let me just sorry, Mayor, I'm taking a little bit more time, but let me just talk about grants. We discussed grants at length in the Road and Infrastructure Committee, because frankly, this committee is the big daddy on spending money, right? Our capital funds spend as much or more than the general fund. So, grants, our position on grants is we chase grants, but grants come after the project starts, because mostly it's a chicken or the egg. So we need to, as a council, I believe, appropriate the proper funds. And then if a grant comes in and we get a grant, then it comes back to the city and the cost of the project eventually goes down and we capture the money. But we should not start projects because we're waiting on a grant.
Just a question on that, but some grants are, you have to get in advance, right?
Yeah, it depends on the grant. You don't like, it's tough to get a grant for something that's actually under construction.
Right.
But I guess from a planning standpoint, if you're gonna plan on the project, there's plan development, and that can typically start while the plans are being drawn, created. We could be going after grants and finding out what the grant cycle
And my
is.
point, Jim, is that we're not gonna, I don't believe, as our recommendation from the infrastructure committee to the council is not to go, this project is contingent on getting X grant. Get the project appropriated, let him start looking for the grants, and we move in parallel instead.
Yeah, I guess
waiting.
my question is, there's some circumstances where you need to apply in advance, and it's $500,000 that would fund a big chunk of the project.
Absolutely.
Then we should not do anything that would foreclose our ability to get a
I
grant.
absolutely agree. Okay.
All right, next committee, we had the communications committee.
Yeah, it's a little shorter than for Norris.
But you spent a lot more money.
Thank goodness.
So we had our second meeting of the year as a communications committee, and so how we spent that time yesterday was we started to kind of generate a backlog of things that we would want to explore as the committee continues to get our footing. And the most immediate thing between now and our next session is we're trying to build out a communication strategy that can just kind of guide all of these ideas from the start. Because the one thing I think we kept coming back to is that what works for one resident isn't going to necessarily work for another group of residents when it comes to communication. So being able to have a broader approach for how we want to handle that is what we're focusing on first. But we did make one recommendation to the administration that we do think will have like immediate tangible impact, and that is for a new camera to replace this one for the live streams. So it's dual lens, and what's nice about it is that it will, like if I'm speaking, the camera will direct toward me, and then, you know, if Jackie starts talking, it will go her way. So it's a little easier for people at home to see who's talking and what they're saying. And another reason this made sense is, especially with the potential renovations here, it is very low cost. It's able to take something that doesn't really work all the time for us and makes it reliable without it being overly expensive. It's not going to be a big burden on the team here to be able to manage. So it's something that we saw as kind of a no-brainer, that it's an immediate improvement. Jacqueline, one of our resident members, he found a vendor that had $300 off on it or $600 off on it and a 30-day return policy. So even if we get it and it's not setting up the way we think, we can send it back and we've really lost nothing. So
Is this like the OWL system, or is it a different? I'm familiar with the OWL.
no, it's the brand is called Data Video, and it's primarily used for like group meetings where you need to have multiple people present.
So would it be new microphones too, because they sync with the camera when you press the button?
It should be all through the device. So it's just we get the device, and there was an add-on for like an additional, I don't know, like control panel that would sit in the front, but it wasn't necessary.
Okay.
So we wanted to start with the minimum that it comes with, and then kind of take that into install and.
Well, I was told it needs to be figured out, but these could plug in, because these are USB, and it could plug in.
Yeah,
Those
and
were the
part of
systems
that's
I was
just getting
familiar
it.
with that we used at the Pentagon. You you know, green light, red light, you push the light, the cameras goes right to the microphone, so you gotta turn your mic on and off.
So, but we won't have to
It's
for it
slow.
to track you, like
Okay.
it'll go to you regardless if you press a button or not.
Wow, that's pretty cool. All right,
It's
so
gonna
are we
be-
are you ready to get it in front of us so that we can vote and appropriate it and buy it?
It is $2,500, so.
So the administration can buy it?
We're
Yep.
ordering it, in the morning.
Excellent.
I'm gonna be curious to see it in action during one of these discussions, because it's gonna have to be zipping from one side of the room very quickly.
Well, I'm gonna have to start imposing more formal rules to recognize speakers, if nothing else, but to allow the camera time to respond.
There you go.
Well, and just one more note on the benefit of it, there was like a brief discussion on, you know, maybe the council meetings aren't the most watched thing on any given evening.
Really?
But despite that, it would still benefit everyone from a transparency perspective, that when it's recorded, we know that it's got a higher caliber of quality that could supplement the meeting minutes. Like you can go back and you can actually hear what was said and who was saying it. So it's also just good for record keeping.
Does it just have one camera? Because
It's
the ones
one-
I've seen have like 3 cameras
It's
in it.
one camera with dual lenses.
That's pretty cool. Excellent.
And it's, hopefully it'll work, in an outstanding way, and if it doesn't, we are not, taking a
Send
mortgage
it
out for
back.
it.
Yep.
Excellent.
Technology is amazingly quick. Is that all of our, committees, I believe? Okay. Okay, then we're good on committees. Department heads, let's take it around. Chief, Dietz?
Sure, I could do this quickly. For the past few years, I've been paying attention to and been asked on a pretty regular basis by residents about speed ticketing cameras and proper application of them. So I'm looking into the feasibility of obtaining one just for freeway use. It would be a handheld manned device. Currently, Mayfield Village does all the heavy lifting with enforcement on the freeway with one of these devices, because nobody wants to go up there and get tied up for an hour with frequent arrests for warrants or driving under suspensions. But on the other hand, 20% of our 200 to 300 accidents a year occur on the freeway. So we would like to reduce that amount. And I'm sure we've all seen higher speeds up there than should be when you're passing through town on 271 northbound between Chagrin and Cedar. So eventually, my goal is to, if this works out, be able to work with Mayfield Village on some sort of schedule and help slow down traffic up there and reduce accidents. So I'm looking into the feasibility of that right now.
And I think what the chief just mentioned is key to the entire program. We are looking to do this in coordination and cooperation with other communities along this corridor of 271, so that the traveling public will become more self-conscious of maintaining a safe speed as they travel through and past our community, because I know I don't like hearing about when our first responders, both police and fire, end up down on that highway. It is a dangerous situation for them personally, and it's dangerous for the people who they are having to respond for, because it's, we've had fire engines that have had to be placed basically as blockades to protect officers and EMT workers who are trying to, free people from accident situations. Our police officers, sometimes it's a little death-defying to be down there.
2 cars that were hit last year.
Yeah. We had a fire engine, it's side view mirrors, I think that was clipped a week ago by somebody. Fortunately, there wasn't any dramatic damage to the vehicle, but, 2 more feet over and you have a much more serious accident. So,
And the freeway pursuit itself is dangerous when you're pulling out to stop somebody you're speeding to, and it creates a hazard when you're stopped on the side of the road and people have to move over.
but we have about a 3-mile run on 271. So it's not, forever, but it's not completely inconsequential either. So we will have our person stationed in a safe place. And hopefully this speed enforcement down the highway will bear results for everybody. Thank you, Chief.
Do we ever have state troop, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Do we ever have state troopers at all there, or is this just local?
Very, very
Departments,
infrequently,
okay.
maybe, 1 or 2 tickets a year. But typically just, it goes to the responsibility of the communities.
Yeah, okay.
That was,
Typically, Highway Patrol maintains itself on 71 or 77.
Yeah.
They don't come on the loop road.
that's my question, but is there any opportunity to change that?
No, it's been
No?
discussed for a long, long time, and that's what their staffing is, and they let us handle.
How about,
things
how
on a
about
free
county
roll.
level? Is that a county opportunity?
Isn't it part of having become incorporated? I mean, we're going to be now responsible for our geographical area,
As a city?
right? I would imagine.
Yeah, we've had those discussions in the past before I was chief, and we were always told the same thing, that, it's your responsibility, we have ours, and you're to take care of that section of free.
But I mean, anecdotally, my brother-in-law was a lieutenant with State Highway Patrol, and they stuck to the townships. and
Rural
unincorporated areas.
More like a sheriff's department, right, where
Yeah.
you're helping out, right?
Okay, thank you. One more thing, great ad for the police department in just the last day. Our 2 officers who we hired several months ago have completed their training, graduated successfully from the academy.
Of course they did, they're Marines.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, they are.
What do you expect?
That's right. So
They're in uniform
I saw
today.
Cade today in uniform. He began his FDO ride along, and our other officer
Riley. Yeah.
is starting tomorrow.
All right, so we'll have to schedule swearing in pretty soon for those
Yes,
2 officers.
we'll have a swearing in the very near future for both gentlemen. So thank you, Chief. Chief, have you idea?
Just real quick, the first meeting that we had an ambitious training schedule. So we were able to send crews to regional training at Wiley School and University Heights for firefighter safety training. That
Former
was
Wiley warrior here?
Oh, were you?
I was.
So I think they kind of have their way with the school, because now it's empty, but every year they've been able to use that for regional training. Nearly every East Side Fire Department participated, and it's great FaceTime and working with the other groups. In addition, the second week they did a Mayday scenarios, which is related to the topics that they learned in the drills, but a lot of these are reinforcement. We do these drills because they're difficult. Unfortunately, you usually get your name assigned to a drill if you get killed in the line of duty. So there's an Nance drill, there's a Denver drill, there's bailout drills. So, usually something bad happens, and then we use these drills to train firefighters to keep themselves safe in the future. As far as the EMS side, we completed our Cleveland Clinic update on our protocol. Everybody's been tested on that. We completed and certified an ACLS. That was completed last week. We completed our American Heart Training update. That was this week, as well as CPR advancements. Also, we're all certified now in the finger thoracostomies. I talked about that before. And we have to actually be certified by the state. So we had to go through a didactic training and then hands-on with a set of ribs in place and opening that rib up into the chest cavity, which usually a doctor does to place a chest tube. We're doing the same thing, we just don't put the tube in. And then lastly, we acquired an AED. We're going to place that in the community park. So I'm working with the service department right now to place that. Just for your information, each of the buildings here has an AED in it. All the police cars have AEDs, all the fire trucks have AEDs. And then our pavilion will have an AED as well. We didn't want to have somebody run up to the fire station to get an AED and not have one in the park. And this one is capable to use on children as well as adults. And then if any of the councilmen, council persons need training in AED, CPR, what else? Narcan or stop the bleed. We'd be more than happy to do that. So just reach out to me and we could catch up with that.
Thank you.
Just two other things. We have an ambulance that's out of service. That went back to the factory in Van Wert that was broadsided at the intersection of Sound and Mayfield. A car failed to yield to the ambulance, transporting the patient to Hillcrest. The vehicle was still in service. We just had to get time for the factory to be able to take that vehicle back and fix it. So it's not costing anything less for us except our possibly our deductible. And then I assume they go after that for the driver that hit our vehicle. They did find that person. It was a hit and run, and then they did find that person later. And then our newest ambulance, which has been on order for 3 years, is being inspected next Wednesday. Timing is perfect. So we should see that soon.
You guys go pick that up or they deliver it?
They'll deliver it. It's in Iowa, right across from the John Deere factory.
Okay.
But that's all I got.
It's coming in green, the yellow letter.
Yeah.
John Deere Green?
Yeah. Are you ready to discuss the promotional exam, or you want to hold off?
I have to take it to civil service yet,
Okay, let's
so let's wait for that.
Okay.
I just Friday, I just got the final,
Okay,
the last tally on it, so.
fair enough. Thank you, Chief. Mr. Advent, anything?
I'm gonna do something I usually don't do since we haven't had snow in 10 days, but I had to talk about it for 1 second. I want to thank everybody in the community that kind of, we got put in a rough situation. The roads, we have a little snow on the roads. It's not anything we like doing. I think it was very successful. Since we last met on January 27th, we've used about 150 tons of salt. And we've had some real cold weather, and some real nasty roads. But we did conserve. I wish I could say we got the delivery of the 800 tons we're supposed to get, but we're still 2 weeks out on that. So we're not out of the woods, but it's looking a lot better when we have 50-degree days. So, but the community really, it's hard on us to leave snow on the roads. We don't like it, but it had to happen, and it was successful. So
I believe you and your crews managed a very challenging situation, in an outstanding way. Unreal hours were being put in, and it's appreciated. Please extend that on all of our behalf to the crews. That's it. Thank you, sir. Asphalt plants open yet, Tom?
Not yet, we're waiting, hopefully mid-March or early March, if it continues to be like this, so.
Okay, all right. Why don't you give a quick update to the council about some of the sewer projects that extended throughout the winter?
Yes.
Challenged because of the weather, obviously.
Yeah, it was good and bad, because it was cold, actually, they were able to do a lot of their excavation work for essentially a portion of the sewers. The actual mainline sewer, it was done now, in that section. So that last piece is done. They're still doing connections, the laterals, but they're done with the mainline sewers. So not too many big surprises. There's a couple of areas where a gas line wasn't where it was supposed to be, and work around it, but actually it's gone pretty well. The streets are unfortunately a mess. They have been trying to contain it. It's been, while it was frozen, it actually was a better situation than it is right now. It's thawing out, and it's tracking quite a bit. As soon as they can get material to cap it, they will cap the road. In the meantime, they'll continue to sweep the streets and try to do the best they can to keep it clean. I did want to mention, we're very far along on our Gates Mills Trail second section as far as the trail design. This isn't the landscaping, this is basically the path. I would like to be in a position to bid that out in March so that we can hopefully award it in April and start construction when the ground is firm enough to drive on it. So if that's something that maybe I could have on the agenda next week for council, just to get the authorization to bid. That would be
Do you know if Susie will be ready with her proposal? by
Yes,
next week?
I did talk to her a couple times over the past couple weeks. I've talked to her today. She's gonna have something back to us before the end of the week for the landscape package. We talked to her about a couple different thoughts in terms of tree planting versus hardscape, and maybe incorporating a service to do more of the tree planting. That way it could be phased a little bit more around the cities, sometimes changing schedules. Might give us some more flexibility, maybe even be able to take advantage of discounts on trees, different times of year and that kind of thing too.
Yeah.
So,
Will you have the path design for next week?
the layout, yes.
Yeah.
Show that to the
Yeah,
council.
I really appreciate the effort to get this thing done and underway. I think it's really important that we get out to bid as soon as we can so that we can have at least the trail aspect installed, being used, understanding that the landscaping is gonna, probably drag behind that a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but.
Right, and also, I think one of the successful pieces this last time was our ability to reuse material and kind of control some of our costs by building those mounds. We use the excavated material to build mounds instead of hauling the dirt off, and it's actually really nice soil generally. So that's something that we're going to continue to do this next phase.
Yeah, I think the mounds have created visually a contoured scenery that is extremely attractive on the first phase.
As that grows in and the trees grow in, they're just going to they'll look more naturalized.
Yeah, so thank you. Okay, thank you, Mr. Sheehan. So next week, council, we hope that something will be in front of you that will be ready for approval so that MKSK can proceed with its landscaping work so far as that design. And Don will have his bid materials ready as soon as he can so that we can get this stuff out to bid. I have a number of things myself to share with you. First, going back to the snow situation. When we put in our walkways, it wasn't a no, but it was a question mark. What would we be doing, if anything, to maintain and clear these walkways? And I can recall sitting here and saying that we're just going to have to see how it plays out in the future. There are many winters where it snows and it clears and the sun bakes it off and it's very walkable. Well, this winter certainly proved the opposite, and we've been under constant snow cover, except for really a handful of days since December. It's just been a remarkable, different winter. So we're investing literally millions of dollars into these walkways, and it makes a lot of sense to me that we should not be in a position where our residents are frustrated so far as their use of these walkways. It's not a tremendous investment on our part. It's more of a consideration of the labor involved to utilize any equipment to keep these things clear. So I have been meeting, and Mr. Advent has been studying what is feasible and not feasible in this regard. As you may have observed, early in the winter, we began clearing the Gates Mills Trail. And we had purchased at the end of last year a 4-foot plow that we attached to the front of one of our utility Kubotas. And it did a good job of keeping that clear, and a lot of people throughout the winter enjoyed the Gates Mills multi-purpose trail. They also were down plowing the circular trail down in Centennial Park. I received a number of very polite inquiries about, well, what about the rest of the walkways? And we weren't doing anything. And it wasn't our intent to be doing anything on those. In the future, we have changed our intent. And I think that'll probably be welcome news to a lot of people. Mr. Advent now has a better sense as to how long it takes us to do X distance of a trail, how much labor does he have to be prepared to commit to doing something. So the program that he and I have discussed is the city, and I'll be bringing it to council because it's beyond my spending authority. We'll be looking to purchase what is probably best described as a very large commercial snow blower that will be affixed to the front of, again, one of these Kubotas. It's a little less potentially damaging to the grassways on either side of a more narrow walkway. 5 foot as opposed to 10 feet. So we'll be able to make some progress as far as keeping those clear in future winters. The goal is not to keep them clear all the time like we do our city streets. We simply don't have the labor force to do such a thing. The streets will always be the first priority. We will not commit any overtime to keeping a walkway clear. We will not be salting walkways. We will, however, as time permits throughout the winter season and as is necessary, get someone out there to clear different sections of them. I think once they're cleared, and if it's a heavy winter like this, it's going to be a losing battle. I'll inform everyone right now. We will not keep up with a winter like this probably. But if we can get the crews out there to get off the top, just as your driveway, a lot of times once you've created that pathway, it gets walked on, it gets tamped down, and it'll become a much more usable surface for a lot of our residents to make good use of our walkways that we are installing. And I think that's really important. It's to our residents' credit that they have so enthusiastically taken to being outside and utilizing the walkways. And I think this will be a great addition to just one more amenity that the city is providing the residents. So it won't be inexpensive. It's probably close to 6 figures for this big commercial blower. But it is going to be well used and well maintained by our outstanding Department of Service Department mechanics. Hopefully it won't need a lot of servicing, but and I hope it doesn't need a lot of use. I hope the winters are mild and that we can, people can get out on them often, even without us having to take a swipe at them. But we will be ready to keep them, moderately clear, if not altogether clear, as the winter progresses.
Does doing that change the risk profile at all to the city if we do it or don't do it?
I don't believe so.
The answer is no?
No.
There's no exception to immunity
I know,
or
but
cycles
it's just, I know, but it's,
or recreational trails.
Fortunately, we just have recreational trails. A few other things on the agenda. For the first time since the pre-pandemic, on May 16th, we will be having a health fair here in Pepper Pike. And we've invited the hospitals to participate. We have some good commitment from them. We have a number of vendors who are wanting to come. We have private health providers who are, I just got a communication today from one who is very excited to be coming to our health fair. And it was for those who may not have been to the ones in prior years. They last several hours. This will be 9 to 12. We'll have some testing available for people. That's not totally nailed down yet, what tests will be available, but beyond information, we should be able to provide some good healthcare advice. There'll be some great giveaways for families and children. I think we already have a commitment regarding smoke detectors, is it, from the American Red Cross, I believe. And so it should be a great event on May 16th.
In the park?
It will be in Pepper Pike Park. I talked about Cedar Road already. I was proud to represent our city and be at the initiation of this season's Harvest for Hunger. I'll have more to speak to that next week. That opened up just yesterday. Their goal this year is to, again, they've had a service more unique and first-time clients than ever before. Our contributions in the Thanksgiving season were very valuable. Fed a lot of people. $5 will basically feed a family or a person for a week. It's pretty remarkable. So we'll have much more about that as we roll things out next week, and I'm sure council may have something they want to contribute to that. So the final thing two more things. I received a invitation today from the Cuyahoga County Planning Commission. They would like us to host, and I accepted the opportunity to host Celebrate Trails. And that is a regional bicycle effort. It happens every year. In the past, it's been held in various metro parks down in Cleveland. They think our own Gates Mills Linear Park is a wonderful new stepping off place for that. They'll be running 3 different types of events apparently, including walking, riding, family, shorter rides. They'll be utilizing our trail and park. Centennial Park basically is the headstone of this thing, and it'll move out from there down through Beechwood, Shaker Heights, utilizing the entire East Side Greenway project that's already constructed. They anticipate 150 riders to be at this. It should be a great event. They're looking to have food trucks, lots of things that'll be set up in our Pepper Pike Park, and it should be a great event. And that's on April 25th. Finally, it is our nation's 250th birthday, and right now plans are not finalized, but it's our aspiration that we are going to have a July 4th event. We typically do not have any July 4th event. Obviously, we're going to have on Memorial Day our typical Memorial Day commemoration. But July 4th will be more of a celebration and not a commemoration, hopefully. And so this July 4th, we will be looking to perhaps have a parade even. And the parade will go down Gates Mills Boulevard. We'll make use again of our new trail, and a lot to still design and think about as to how that is all put together. But just to put it on all of your calendars, including our safety forces, it's looking like we're going to have a July 4th event. And those are my comments for tonight. Thank you. I'm thrilled that we started at 6:30 since it's not even 8:30 yet instead of 9:30. And I'll turn to council. For any more input or comments from you?
I had 2 comments. The first one was actually about the 250th celebration. Are we partnering at all with like the America250ohio.org? Because I saw
we're signed up for that.
Okay, then that takes care of that item because I was going to ask about doing that. And then the other one was more feedback I got from a resident that I actually didn't know where to direct it next, if it was going to be futures or roads and infrastructure right to the administration. And I just felt it was probably a good thing to read here. So it's about safety. And it says, I live on Gates Mills. I'm closer to Cedar, so we don't have sidewalks or a path in the middle yet. However, my 12-year-old rides his bike on the grass to cross over by Ursuline. I'm wondering what it would take to get some signs up there, since there will be a lot more activity, walkers, bikers, kids in our area once spring comes. The circle is the trickiest spot, and I'm very concerned. When I cross the street with the kids, it's scary, so I hope they can do something about this. With the speed limit being 35, as you know, people really fly down Gates Mills. I'm sure it's a concern for many of us with our kids being outside on the new trails.
She's referring to the Lander,
Right
Gates
where-
Mills Circle, that
Yeah,
circle?
like where Ursuline is.
Signage is actually, I don't know that particular circle, what Don has planned. But Don and I have talked about teeing up more signage. I just signed off on some signage yesterday for the Gates Mills path, so far as safety rules and requirements for that. And those are ordered and should be set up before the season really begins. What else do we have, Don?
We also have some just informational, the signs let people know that you have to yield to pedestrians in the crosswalk. Some people, even though they're supposed to know this, sometimes need a reminder. Ultimately, when the new section of path is built, there will be a 10-foot path on about half of the circle, and then there will be a 5-foot sidewalk on the other half of the circle. So the idea would be to walk or ride around one of the perimeters.
It's on the outer perimeter, not inside of the circle.
Okay.
So then would there be a marked walkway from the circle to the GMB2?
Yes. Sorry, it will, the trail will go all the way around to the next section. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
I've got one for scheduling for March. Orange at spring break, 23rd to 27th. Could we move the meeting on the 25th to the 31st?
That's our second meeting of March.
Yes,
What day of the week is that?
that's a Tuesday.
Tuesday?
I am available that day, that's a fifth Tuesday, and so I don't have any other meetings on that day. I do on the first, so the following day is not available for me.
Okay.
I'm out of town on the 25th, so thanks for
You're out
bringing
of
that up.
town 25th.
So you're out, I'm out.
Are you
Right?
back on the
I'm out.
31st?
Yep.
It's my kid's birthday, so I wasn't gonna be out, but I would certainly not mind if I was out on the 25th.
But you're available the 31st.
The 31st is fine.
And Jackie, you're available the 31st.
Anyone else have thoughts?
I'm good.
Is that a go? Do we just decide or?
Can we do that?
That's Tuesday, the 31st.
That'd be the second meeting of the month.
That'd be the second meeting,
Rather than on Wednesday, the 25th.
Yeah.
right, which I guess is in the middle of the kids' spring
Right.
break, so a lot of people are
I'm okay with that.
Okay, so we will officially move our second meeting of March to Tuesday, March 31st, and Sheila will get the appropriate notices out.
Go.
Well, we can likewise move the finance committee
Yeah.
to
Right,
that.
Right, it'll all track together. Yes, thank you for mentioning that. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mogan. Anyone else? Not hearing anyone?
I got,
Oh, you do?
yeah, I've got a couple things. So did a ride along with the police, Officer Pop-Pop, great experience, learned a lot at the deck plate level. When you're with a 2-year officer driving around, you learn everything that the chief doesn't want you to necessarily know, but that's okay. So we talked about a lot of things and afterwards debriefed the chief and have a couple ideas about how to help him better make our vehicles last longer and we have some vehicle issues and some things going on. So I'll work with the chief however he wants. They also did toured the fire department, and guess what? Got to do a ride along with the EMS guys. A call came in when we went out, and we jumped in the truck and followed the ambulance, and actually went into the ambulance while they were triaging the patient, and it was exceptional experience. They did a great job and very professional, and I was it was great learning experience. Tried to get out with the service department and the plows, but I missed the 2 weeks of 2 feet of snow. Did go out, check out the salt barn. It was recently topped off a little bit, so I walked around there. Been to visit the service department a couple times, and was visiting with the mayor, and we talked about the snow blower. I think that's a great idea. And once weather breaks, I want to do a garbage truck ride along and get to the landfill too. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, and we have a recycling business that we deal with, and if council wants to at some point, they don't like people really visiting them.
I would love to visit
But
them
we
too.
can maybe make some arrangements to have a visit to the recycling outfit. It's a very interesting operation, if nothing else.
Yep.
No pictures are allowed. They consider their ways very proprietary. So with that said, thank you all for being here tonight. We stand adjourned.